we are announcing additional statewide actions as it relates to our stay-at-home order here in the state of California. We are now effective today, requiring all counties to close their indoor activities, their indoor operations in the following sectors: restaurants, wineries, tasting rooms, movie theaters, family entertainment centers, zoos and museums, card rooms, and the shuttering of all bars. This is in every county in the state of California, not just the counties that were on the monitoring list that we announced on July 1st. So this is a new statewide action effective today. Every county in the state of California impacted by a requirement now to modify indoor operations and to expand opportunities for outdoor operations in these specific categories.
Roll in.
From legendary Uncle Studios in beautiful Southern California, welcome to another edition of Work Comp Matters, the central location for you employees, you employers, and of course, we haven't forgotten about you damn independent contractors. And now, here's this week's edition of Work Comp Matters.
July 14th, 12 noon. And good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Work Comp Matters. We are brought to you by the workcompcentral.com. If you want the number one location for workers' compensation in both California and around the United States, check out the workcompcentral.com. They've got a free 7-day offer. And if you want to pick up their services, I have them. You should too. It's only $1 a day. Work Comp Matters is also brought to you by A1 Law, number one computer management system, 818-357-4120. For your no strings attached money back guarantee, also $1 a day, A1 Law. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Steve Appell. I'm joined by the madman across the water, John Scalia, and my chief of staff, Mike Zyma. Well, don't forget, tomorrow is July 15th. Make sure you get your taxes done, or at the least, get an extension. Well, once again, the gab is in the news, and what can I say? I'm just going to go ahead and read the story, and then hopefully someone can tell me what a shuttered bar is. I know that putting shutters over windows, I get that, but apparently California shutters bars, indoor restaurants. I guess that means closes. Governor Gavin Newsom yesterday signaled a major retreat in the state's 2-month effort to recover from the economic collapse caused by the coronavirus, ordering the closure of bars, indoor restaurants, movie theaters, and many other recently reopened businesses across the state. With infections surging, Newsom also further tightened business restrictions in 29 counties that together account for about 80% of the state's population. Those counties must now close gyms, houses of worship, hair and nail salons, offices for non-critical work sectors, shopping malls, and barber shops. You know, with all due respect to the Gav, I just don't get it. How is a barber shop where you have 1-to-1 spreading COVID-19? How is a nail salon where you have 1-to-1 exposure spreading COVID-19? I noticed that there wasn't any restrictions apparently on outdoor activities, and I get it. I wouldn't want to go to a restaurant that has, 50, 75, 150 people in there, especially when no one's required to wear a mask. I get closing restaurants. I understand closing indoor spaces where more than 10 people without masks congregate together. As far as houses of worship, why not just have the people practicing their religious beliefs outdoors? I don't understand why it has to be an indoor situation. John Scalia, madman across the water, you're always a good person to go to. Are my questions off the wall? Do they make any sense? Am I raising legitimate concerns, or as usual, am I just off my damn rocker?
Yeah, I think you're off your rocker.
Thank you, John. I knew I could count on you.
Yeah, I think he's just going with the science. I mean, the science says the safest thing to do is lockdown. And, if you try to draw the line too finely, then it just becomes absurd. So unfortunately, it's better to just cast a wide net and say, until we get this thing more or less under control, we're in lockdown. I mean, we went through the whole thing at the beginning when I explained what the R number was. And unless you get the R number under 1, you really can't have normal activity.
John, where does the science say to close down barbershops and nail salons? Or better yet, where does the science say that people are spreading COVID-19 in barbershops and nail salons?
Well, it's being spread everywhere. But as we know, the science from day one actually has said that one of the guaranteed ways to get it is to be with somebody who's a carrier, even if they're asymptomatic, and be in close contact for a prolonged period of time. Obviously, if you think about a barbershop or a hair friseur or a nail salon, that's the definition of being in prolonged contact with somebody for a period of time in a closed space.
Yeah, that's true. However, John, the science also says, and we've discussed the numbers, maybe they're wrong, but the numbers say that 99% of the population doesn't have it.
Actually, we've discussed that, and that's when I asked you whether you majored in math or took any math courses. That 99% who don't have it is based on the fact that they're untested and nobody knows whether they have it. What we do know is what percentage of people who've been tested have it. That's what we actually know. And we actually know how many people are hospitalized and how many people are dying. The 99% thing is just, it's a red herring. But it's a great statistic for people who want to deny anything is necessary to be done about anything.
I'm going to now go to my chief of staff, occasionally a voice of reason, but I know once in a while he gets his rod and reel. In fact, we were talking about Lake Piru the other day, but not for this reason. But Mike, caught any red herrings lately?
Well, I have to agree with John on this one, at least to the extent that I would at least like to believe that the GAV is making his decisions based on empirical science. I don't think that the GAV is a Looney Tune. I think that what happened was, it wasn't that we reopened too early. Rather, frankly, it was a bunch of young folks not social distancing, not wearing masks, and just throwing caution to the wind and acting like the virus didn't even exist. I think that's what happened. Now,
However, if I may, those young folks were partying it up. Those young folks, I've read where these young folks are literally going to COVID-19 parties to spread COVID-19. These young folks were also going out and protesting without masks. So I agree with you. But these young folks, at least as far as I know, were not going to nail salons. We're not going to barbershops. We're not going to indoor places of business that are classified as non-essential. They were going to parties. They were rocking and rolling.
Well, they were going to bars, and yeah, they were demonstrating, and a lot has been made about that. But I think I got to point at the young people. Sorry.
Yeah, but Mike, yeah, I think you're spot on, because the young people decided, arguably, to act irresponsibly. 80% of the working population is now going to suffer. And speaking of numbers, the central San Joaquin Valley passed 20,000 positive cases of the coronavirus on Monday, including more than 300 deaths. Fresno County no longer updated its count daily, switching this week to Tuesday and Friday. So the most recent report from Saturday of 8,282 cases and 88 deaths did not change Monday. The case total is the highest among the 6 counties in the central San Joaquin Valley region. You know, California has, I believe, about 58 counties. The GAV's order covers about 30 of those counties, which of course have about 80% of the population. Mike and John, do you know which county is not affected by the GAV's order, because it has, my understanding, the least amount of deaths total in California, and that is 4 deaths.
Alpine County.
Napa County.
Napa
Napa has 4 COVID deaths total.
But
now, also my understanding that the GAV has a couple of businesses there, but I'm sure that didn't play a part in his decision whatsoever.
Maybe wine is an antidote.
I've said on the show many times that COVID-19 does not like alcohol. Alcohol and COVID-19 do not get along. Mike, take me to the next story and hurry.
All right. This kind of changes the topic just a little bit, but it's kind of a strange story. Flames tore through a warship for a second day Monday as a top Navy official revealed that a fire suppression system was inoperable when the blaze erupted while the ship was docked in San Diego. Hundreds of sailors were battling to keep flames away from 1 million gallons of oil on board the USS Bonhomme Richard. Meanwhile, acrid smoke from the blaze wafted across San Diego, and health officials urged people to stay indoors if they smelled it. My understanding is that ship has a bunch of stuff in it. I don't know what kind of stuff it is, but it's got stuff in it, laid deep in the ship, and it's burning, and they can't get it out. So it's possible that it's just going to keep burning for days, weeks, until it burns all the stuff. Very strange story.
Hopefully it will not explode.
Oh, God. Yeah, that's for sure. They had some injuries, but apparently no serious injuries.
Yeah,
there were 4 people were still in the hospital, but their injuries were not life-threatening.
And before we go to the break and then get to Mr. Scalia's segment, apparently Sacramento County, the capital of California, reports 8 coronavirus deaths for a one-day record, and 22 are dead in 9 days. The coronavirus has now killed at least 91 people in Sacramento County. My name is Steve Appell. You're dialed into Work Comp Matters. We are brought to you by the workcompcentral.com. If you want the #1 location for workers' compensation in both California and around the United States, check out the workcompcentral.com. They've got a free 7-day offer. And if you want to pick up their services, I have them. You should too. It's only $1 a day. Work Comp Matters is also brought to you by A1 Law, #1 computer management system, 818-357-4120. For your no strings attached money back guarantee, also $1 a day. A1 Law, well, they practiced workers' compensation law in beautiful Southern California for 35 years. and then moved out to Munich, Germany. He's going to give us a news story or two and then give him his rant. I love it. I love it when he disagrees with me because he does his best to make sense, and we appreciate that. Mr. John Scalia.
Oh, thank you, Steve. Yes, it's the madman again. This is an article that Steve forwarded to me from the Insurance Journal, of all things. It says, German officials seize server with U.S. police files stolen in data breach. At the behest of the U.S. government, German authorities have seized a computer server that hosted a huge cache of files from scores of U.S. federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies obtained in a Houston data breach last month. The server was being used by a WikiLeaks-like data transparency collective, that's a mouthful, called Distributed Denial of Secrets to share documents, many tagged for official use only, that shed light on U.S. police practices. The data, dating back to 1996, include emails, audio and video files, and police and FBI intelligence reports. DDoS, that's what they call it, DDoS secrets, founder Emma Best said the data, dubbed Blue Leaks, comes from more than 200 agencies. It has been stripped of references to sexual assault cases and references to children, but names, phone numbers, and emails of police officers were not redacted, said Best, who uses they, their pronouns. We'll get to that. Best said that DDoS Secrets obtained the data from an outside individual who sympathized with nationwide protests against police killings of unarmed Black people. Some of the files offer insights into the police response to those protests, they said. Okay, I'm not going to read the rest of the article because I'm going to start on what Steve appropriately labeled my rant. First of all, it's interesting that the US government requested that the Germans seize this, and they did it. In Europe, privacy is very valued, so I will give the Germans the benefit of the doubt and say that they seized it because they looked upon it as a violation of privacy. On the other hand, if I were not giving them the benefit of the doubt, I would just say that they did it for the same reason most people do things when the United States asks them to. Most of the world's afraid of the United States, and if you don't do what they ask, bad things happen to you. However, that's not what I really want to talk about. What I really want to talk about, well, two things. First of all, let's talk about DDoS Best. DDoS Secrets is run by a woman or transgender woman, she's referred, whatever she's called. It says she uses the they pronoun. Her name is Emma Best. Well, she's transgender. Interestingly enough, even though Emma runs this site which is dedicated to transparency, she's apparently not transparent about her own life. Because apparently when they tried to reveal what her name was prior to her transgendering, that was a big dark secret. Now, I have trouble with that because if you're going to believe in transparency, it should apply to you too. And after all, if we don't know what you did before you became Emma, whatever your name was before, then we don't know a lot about you. And knowing a lot about people tells us a lot about their motivation. Okay, enough for that. However, what about the content of what was downloaded or what was seized? Here's my problem. Most of you probably are too young to remember an incident at LA Airport way back 20, 30 years ago. I'm not even sure if either Steve or Mike is old enough to remember. But it was an El Al plane that went off the runway and crashed into what was supposed to be an empty shed. For those of you wondering why El Al was off the beaten runway, El Al, this was at a time of hijackings, and El Al is very security conscious. El Al has never had a plane hijacked for a variety of reasons. One of the reasons is they do use runways apart from everybody else. They park their planes apart from everywhere else. And on every single El Al flight, there used to be a Mossad agent. So it discouraged hijacking. Plus, you had to get to the airport like the day before. Well, okay, slight exaggeration. The point is, everybody said, well, that's strange. What the hell was a shed doing there? It turned out that the shed was actually a computer center for the LAPD counterterrorism operation. And the real question to be asked is, what the hell are LAPD or any police in America doing with counterterrorist operations? That should be the bailiwick, the province of the FBI. That's their job, not the local cops. I don't want my local cops deciding what political activities they want to drop in on. That's not their job. It's bad enough the FBI does it. So my point is, these files should be public because at least people will understand what the cops have been up to all these years, which they hide from the public. And there's public servants. They're supposed to be transparent. They're supposed to tell us what they do. And obviously they don't. So as much as I may not agree or may agree or disagree with the way the data was seized, I think it's important that the data becomes public so we know what our own police forces are up to. And that's the view from the madman this week, today.
All right. Thank you very much. Throughout the coronavirus pandemic, most of the Bay Area was in sync with shelter in place and other health mandates. Then, as counties began reopening, they took divergent paths, especially smaller areas and those with fewer cases. But a virus surge statewide has led some counties to halt or even reverse their reopening plans. And yesterday, Governor Gavin Newsom, the Gav, announced a sweeping measure ordering the indefinite, immediate statewide closure of indoor restaurants, movie theaters, and wineries, and both indoor and outdoor bars. Mike?
A Fresno City leader is proposing stricter mask and case reporting requirements as the number of positive COVID-19 cases continue to climb at an increasing rate. Council member Nelson Esparza said he wants to add language to the city's coronavirus orders that would require people working, even when outside, to wear masks while near others. The order also requires the mask be properly worn, covering a person's schnoz.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Mike. John, do you have another news story to read while I pull up another one?
I've got one. Two biggest California districts say school will start online. The Los Angeles and San Diego school districts, the two largest in California with a combined K-12 student population of about 720,000, announced Monday they won't bring students back to classrooms next month because of rising coronavirus hospitalizations and infection rates. School leaders said there is too much uncertainty surrounding the safety of students and staff to try to return pupils to classrooms right away, so they will continue the distance learning that was employed for the final months of the spring semester. There's a public health imperative to keep schools from becoming a petri dish, said Austin Goitner, superintendent of the Los Angeles Unified School District, the second largest public school district in the country. The health and safety of all in the school community is not something we can compromise. In a letter to parents, Cindy Martin, superintendent of the San Diego Unified School District, said nothing was decided beyond beginning the academic year online. An August 10 update will address the possibility of returning to in-person instruction later on. We will get back there, but we just can't start there, she wrote. The viewpoint wasn't shared by the school board in nearby Orange County, which voted 4-1 Monday evening to approve a set of guidelines for reopening school campuses next month without students being required to wear masks or social distance. Those guidelines conflicted with the county's own Department of Education and aren't binding on the county's 27 school districts, which have their own leaders. LA and San Diego are the latest in a growing number of California school districts choosing to start the new term with, I lost my place. Anyway, with distance learning. Anyway, the article goes on and on, you get the idea. Basically, San Diego and LA County are going to go online. Orange County has decided that they prefer sending their kids into the lion's den.
Lost in all of the COVID-19 pandemic has been the gig economy. Well, the California Labor Commissioner's Office has filed a lawsuit against what they consider a gig economy car wash in Southern California. I personally don't think this is part of the gig economy, but the Labor Commission does. And they have filed a lawsuit against the car wash for violating labor laws by misclassifying employees as independent contractors. Mobile Car Wash Inc. of Bellflower misclassified at least 100 workers, harming both the worker and the law-abiding businesses in the car washing industry, the lawsuit says. This is the first lawsuit filed by the Labor Commissioner's Office to enforce Assembly Bill 5, the 2019 law that requires the application of the ABC test to determine if workers in California are employees or independent contractors. Actually, folks, the ABC test has gone back to the Dynamex case, as well as the another case. AB5, as I have said before, really pretty much just backdoored, pardon the pun, backdoored allowing doctors, lawyers, architects, and a whole slew of professional independent contractors from being classified as employees. But nevertheless, willful misclassification of workers harms not only workers, but law-abiding employers and the public. California Labor Commissioner Lily Garcia Brown said in a statement, under the ABC test, these workers are clearly employees, blah, 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 blah. So, anyways, Labor Commissioner files lawsuit against the Mobile Wash Inc. of Bellflower for misclassifying at least 100 workers. I got to tell you, I have never heard of a car wash being part of the gig economy. But then again, I'm learning something new every day. Mike, we got time for about one story left, if you got one.
I do have one. I'm going to steal it from John, though, because I know John wanted to do it. But the cost of buying cases of bottled water for cooking and drinking is adding up for residents of early March, where a contaminated well became the main source of tap water for more than 8,000 folks in late May. The State Water Resources Control Board, that is responsible for drinking water, has a program to provide financial assistance for bottled water to help communities in crisis. It has not been available in early March, and it is unclear why.
And I thank you very much for that. John, any closing thoughts, burning desires?
Nope.
I want to thank you all very much for listening to another edition of Work Comp Matters. I want to thank Scott from legendary Uncle Studios, the madman across the water, John Scalia, Chief of Staff, Mike Zyma, and all the good people back at WorkCompcentral for continuing to support and approve of this project, including but not limited to Ms. Kristen Chavez. My name is Steve Appell, and we'll see you again tomorrow at noon for another edition of Work Comp Matters.